Good morning. It's a Sunday morning. It's Father's Day, and it's hot outside. We've had upper 90s with a field temperature in like 105 or 106. The video I wanted to make this morning, I haven't made a video in a while, but the video I wanted to make this morning was just a discussion of my router table modifications that I made, and that's been over 20 years ago. So I've seen a lot of recent people building router tables, and they're talking about, they were adjusting the suck on them because they weren't getting all the dust out of them and all that kind of stuff. Well, I want to show what I did a long time ago. So over the years, I've made or purchased 4 different router tables. The first one was a standalone table that I purchased. You just put your router in it upside down. And it was a little router table. I think it was 12 inches wide and 18 inches long or something like that. And then I had a router table that I made and put into the table saw table. And so that worked out pretty well, but I actually sold that table saw and table to a friend. That would be Gene. Then I made a router table based upon the plans provided by the New Yankee Workshop, Norm Abram. And that worked pretty well, and that's the kind of the what I'm referring to today is that all router tables that you build are very similar. They have a table, obviously, and then they have where you've a box where your router goes, and then drawers, etc. And so I built that, and I had the same issues that I've seen in these recent videos where it wasn't sucking all of the air out of the compartment, and they're adding holes in the little door to give it more airflow, and this, that, and the other, and it's still not really all effective. So I then built another table based upon the plans from Norm Abram, and I made some modifications to it, and that's what I'm going to show now. So basically, this is my table, and you can see it's a little wider than the Norm Abram plans, and it does have a plate, a router. Mine has a router lift that's made by Woodpecker. This is version 1. They're on version 2 now, and but this is version 1. And then made a fence that's got places where I can add different things like a protection from the saw blade, the router bit, and then put stuff in here. Then here is the only sawdust really that occurs is what falls outside of the lift. So let me talk about that. So my table has a 4-inch input for the dust collection. So I have it hooked to my dust collector via a 4-inch tube, and then I have a splitter right here, and then a 4-inch tube goes into the box that holds the router itself, and then I have a 2.5-inch which comes up to the table. And then that 2.5-inch sucks all the dust out from here, and then the 4-inch sucks all the dust out from below. And let me tell you, the vacuum is quite high, and I'm going to show that right now. So my table has quite a few drawers, and they're full length. They go all the way to the back of the table, and hold all of my different things. Now, the big difference is on the router lifts that I've seen designed is that there's a door here that you can open up to actually access the router. I do not have that, and we'll see what happens here. So instead, is I put a drawer that holds all the tools to change the bits, etc. And then the top half is an electrical outlet as well as the start, stop, for the router itself, and the back right behind this facing the inside is the plug for the router itself. Now on most plans they put the on-off switch over here, but I've allowed here for clamping area so I can clamp to the tabletop as well as I can use my knee to bump it off if I need to hold something up there, as well as then stop it. So I have no access to the router here. All my access is through the router plate. But with that is I have a big Porter Cable 75 18 3-horse router, and we're going to see that in a second. So we're going to open this up, and we'll see how much dust is in there. And I can tell you that I have not opened this up or done anything for 15 years. And so we're going to see how much dust is in there, because the way I designed the box is that it picks up all the dust, or that was my goal. So I checked it out this table is 20 years old. And so I used to check it, etc. But I haven't done it for 15 years, so we're going to open it up. So first I've removed the bolts that hold down the fence. There's one on each side, and now you can see the whole fence. And I'm going to take off all the sawdust here, and I'm just going to pour it here so I can show you that again. It'll suck from the table top down past the router motor, and that keeps it keeps the router motor quite cool. Turning on the dust collector. And you can see it's actually sucking the dust from the top of the router plate down through the holes. So you can feel it. Now I'm going to take off the top and show you the secret to what I think is what we'll see under there after 15 years. Okay. And I'll unplug the router. And here's what we'll see. For 15 years, it's absolutely almost spotless in here. See, the secret is I put these two 45 degree, or some I would say 45 degree, on each wall, and then my 4-inch tube comes in at the very bottom. So the only thing, it's almost flush except for the width of the tube itself. And so therefore that allows all the sawdust from the router to come and fall down here and then get sucked out the tube. So there's no area that sawdust can hide. And I think that is great. And like I say, and the plug for the router is on the front wall of itself, and it's just a single plug outlet. So I think that like I said, have not opened that up for 15 years, and there's no sawdust in there. The other thing I did is that this is double width MDF, so it's 1.5 wide MDF, and I put a aluminum bar on each of the sides to allow the leveling pins on the lift to push against that and not the MDF. So there's no wearing away into the MDF. You're actually leveling on top of aluminum bars. I just wanted to show that the modifications I made 20 years ago and how they are still can be applied today by the current designs, because I decided that really didn't need access to the router. The amount of air that's being sucked past it keeps it cool. And the only thing that I did was, it's a variable speed router, and like I say, is I can't reach it from the front because there's no access there. So I don't run at the top speed. I think it's either down 1 notch or 2 notches. 1 notch, I think. And so it's not running at the 21,000 RPM, it's running at 18,000. And I think that the bits that I use, anywhere from 1/4 to 1.5 inches, are that's fine. And if I was when I built this 20 years ago, I was doing some doors where I had the huge bits, the 3-inch bits, and if I remember right, I did pull it up to go to a lower speed for that. But for the most part, I just leave it next to the high speed, and I've had no issue in 20 years. So hopefully you'll find this a good video. Give me a thumbs up and hit the bell if you want to hear about any other videos coming out. But I just kind of want to run by the mods I've done to my router lift that have been in place for 20 years, and I'm quite happy with it. And so when you see these other designs, there maybe there's something you can incorporate here or not, but I'm quite happy. Have a good day. See you later, and happy Father's Day to those dads out there. See ya.